better ways for us to do this. Anyone remember from the 2008 election, T. Boone Pickens? He had some ads on TV talking about wind, and he had like a whole plan. He's an interesting character. He made his billions from this stuff, from being a Jed Clampett. But you know, I think he's in his 70s now, and so he's putting his billions behind two things. One is wind energy, and two is natural gas. So he's sort of hedging his bets and trying to promote natural gas as, oh, this is clean energy. Well, yeah, I guess it's clean versus coal, and so you know, it's all about perspective. What he won't show you is the rest of this graph, right? He'll go, look, guys, compared to all these other things, look how much cleaner we are, and you know, he owns a lot of natural gas companies, so he stands to make a fortune as we sort of convert over to natural gas. Now, do I think we're going to need natural gas? Yes, because it's going to take time to build sort of the infrastructure and raise the awareness to get to the really clean stuff. So probably for the rest of our lives, and maybe even the beginning of our children's lives, the United States is blessed with a lot of natural gas. There's not a lot of problems with natural gas, of explosions and whatnot. There's been documentaries made about it that have been nominated for Oscars, even been on HBO. So ultimately, do I think, let's say the next 50 years, natural gas will be more and more mainstream in this country? Yes, I do. And will you see companies like Honda and hopefully even like Chevy making natural gas cars? Most likely they will, because if we hit $5 a gas per gallon gas this summer, and we don't know what's going to happen over in Egypt, Libya, and I mean there are even protests over in Saudi Arabia, which would be, you know, the big one. If those gas prices keep going up and they spike to, I don't know, $7, $10 a gallon, obviously, I mean this is panic sort of situation. And most likely the first place we will look will be natural gas. So you will see more of this. As you can see, this is still not a real solution. Now the rest of this is about biodiesel. As you can see, there's some parts of biodiesel, they're not the solution either. I mean, obviously Brazil, as you sort of mentioned, is sort of famous for taking sort of lead on this. Why? Because they have a lot of soy down there and a lot of sugar cane. But as you can see, that's not very clean either. In fact, it's even worse than natural gas. Where are we? We meaning, you know, the French fry cooking oil stuff. We're here at the top. It's a fraction. It's by far the cleanest. Also, an interesting sort of point out on this graph. This research wasn't done here on United States soil by U.S. scientists. This was done by the UK Department of Transportation, their DOT. And that's the thing with a lot of research here, is that most of this research has been done over in Europe and Asia. Not very much of it has been done here. The Navy sort of looked at this back in 2007. In fact, McDonald's sort of looked at biodiesel. So there are a few major institutions here in the U.S. that have done a little bit of research. But again, it's sort of like where the IT industry was back in the late 80s, let's say early 90s, is that there have been a few key players looking at it, but not a whole lot. You can get that on my website as well, so you don't have to take a picture, you know. But it's a sort of thing that as more people sort of, the awareness sort of rises, and the collective creative consciousness of all of us says, one, we're at a crisis here. I mean, this is happening now. And two, is you sort of see the opportunity of where we can go with sustainability. I think more and more people will figure out even better ways to sort of do this. I kind of feel a little bit like Paul Revere sometimes. I'm just trying to give the message out there of, hey, we have a little problem here. The redcoats are coming. And guess what? Here's the light. Maybe we can go in this direction. As you can see, a lot of the other versions of biodiesel, you know, as you can see, they're all over in, you know, either Canada or the rest of Europe and, you know, some parts of Asia. So it's something that it definitely is available. I love this cartoon. And this was sort of that French fry version, is that ultimately, will we ever get to this here in the U.S.? I would love if McDonald's got on board with this. I would love to partner with them and say, you know, along with the Big Mac and fries, Why don't you put up a filling station right next to every one of the McDonald's here in the U.S.? In fact, that's one thing I often say, that my sort of vision of FOSS is I want to become the McDonald's of biodiesel as well as the McKinsey of biodiesel. And McKinsey meaning the consulting firm. In that, what Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, really did is that he didn't invent the hamburger. I mean, cavemen knew how to make hamburgers. What he did was say, you know what? I mean, he didn't know it was called this back then. This is sort of modern business lingo. Is that he figured out the supply chain of how do I, cut cost on every aspect of getting a hamburger into your hand for $1. One thing he would often, what Ray Kroc often did, is when he would come to speak to business school class, he would ask the students, what business am I in? Now, I won't do this to you. So the C students would say, oh, you're in the fast food business. The B students would say, logistics. And the A students said, you're in real estate. Ultimately, he was in the convenience business. If you remember when McDonald's was starting its rise, it was as, I believe Eisenhower was president. He built all of the big highways in this country, and America was falling in love with the car. So, I mean, what better? You put a convertible car in a hamburger, in a milkshake, and fries, in a drive-thru. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor just passed, and her era was that era when you actually go through a drive-thru. I wasn't of that generation, but if any of you remember, probably our parents' generation, that was sort of the cool thing to do, and that's how McDonald's sort of came to prominence. That he put the two together, he connected those dots and said, convenience will be king. You see that with cell phones today, right? That people will pay a premium for convenience. And I think that's something where, as I think about how can biodiesel sort of come to that sort of prominence, since these sort of fast food restaurants have that grease to begin with, that could be a way to sort of mainstream it. Now the benefits are really, really amazing, and it's sort of hard to believe that, to me, an obvious idea like this has not already sort of come to prominence earlier. One, to me, what I often say is that the cleanest and greenest thing to do with that grease is to turn it into biodiesel. None of us want to be a cancer patient someday. Second point, it's easy. You don't need to convert the diesel truck. Or if you have a diesel car. So this is not like, you might have seen like on CNN, like a 17-year-old kid taking his VW Bug and putting vegetable grease with some sort of converter kit. This is not that. Like I said, remember transestrification next time you're in Jeopardy. So we're actually chemically changing that grease, turning it into fuel. And this is where a lot of the fleet managers that I've sort of spoken to, let's say at UPS or FedEx or any municipality, what they love about it is that there's no upfront cost for them. Plus, it's good for the engine. The number one cost that a fleet manager has, it's not the fuel, it's the maintenance cost. Mechanics don't come cheap, and these engines are huge, and the parts are expensive. It's kind of like putting cream on your hand in the winter. It feels good, and it's sort of lubricating. In the industry, we call it viscosity. So that viscosity and lubricity, it's good in the engine. And so not only does it run smoother, the results are that you get better mileage as well, about, let's say, a 5% boost or so. Oh, by the way, Uncle Sam's going to give you almost $400 for using the biodiesel. So if you look at it, even if you didn't care about sustainability, even if you don't care about Mother Earth, your bottom line is that you are going to buy fuel at the same cost or cheaper, and you get a tax credit, plus so your accounting department is happy, plus the marketing department is like, dude, are you kidding me? So we can say that we're using a green fuel, and we can put this in a Super Bowl ad? I mean, they go nuts. I mean, most of the meetings I've had with big corporations, the PR director is either leading the meeting or is in every single meeting because they get it.